We're back. Welcome to the Silerious podcast. Um, sorry, we just had a bunch of turkey for this fine Jesus Death Day, and I'm actually really sleepy. I was kind of hoping to get some caffeine in me beforehand, but fuck it. Let's just take this away. So today we are drinking. Um, exactly what this sounds like. Needless luxury. It's needless luxury. These are 550 a can, and they're 10%. Triple IPA. Triple IPA.
Damn, that's a lot of IPAs.
It's another collaborative beer, so this probably will never happen again. With Lupulus. I don't know who that is. Whatever.
Okay, well, I'm gonna start drinking it.
I don't know. I don't know. I tasted it. I liked it. We have a bunch of it
It's
now.
10% beer, so
It's
let's see.
it's 10%, guys. It's normally these things don't go over well once I start drinking 10% beer. But
Hopefully we don't end
We'll
up in
try.
a fight.
or maybe they'll just make a really interesting podcast.
Really? You think people are interested in our fights?
Maybe they're not. For those of you that can or cannot tell, this is orange juice thick. It smells like orange juice. Actually, that can doesn't smell like anything, but triple IPA, need this luxury. That is very thick, very gushy.
Well, cheers to
triple
Jesus.
triple DIPA. Cheers to Jesus. He turned water into wine, and we figured out how to make better beer 2,000 years later.
Technically, beer is the oldest recipe on the planet. so-
Technically, this is what older beer used to be like before it became the beer that we have now. Guys, this is really thick.
Kind of sweet, too.
My favorite
That's
type
not
of
bad. Not the bad kind of sweet. But pretty sweet still.
beer. Yep, this is gonna be one of my favorite beers of all time. I wish I could take a picture of this
You think so?
for
no,
the.
I don't think it's like the best one.
Well, the reason I really liked Paper Salesman was because Paper Salesman had that mango tinge to it. And apparently, from the cottage, when we let people try the beers that we brought up, they were like, "This is also mango-y tasty." Where did I put my phone? I was gonna take a picture of this. Well, this is full.
Well, too late now.
Will you have a beer afterwards? Maybe we'll have another beer afterwards, and I'll set up another shot.
Another 10% beer
Another
afterwards.
10% shot. Yeah. But look
Okay,
at that,
we'll
guys. Look how
see.
thick that is. That is fantastically thick. I wish I could readjust the light.
I asked
Yes,
you then
let's
to
see.
not drink it very quickly then.
I can't help the way I drink it. That is so thick. I miss these kinds of beers. The Paper Salesman was a little bit darker. Actually, it was roughly no. It was a lot. It was decently darker. But it wasn't this sweet. Wow. This is really fresh, by the way. This came out like a couple of days ago. It doesn't have that hop burn or that bitterness.
It's a little bitter.
I don't taste the bitterness. Maybe just you. Maybe
We
just
all
you.
have different
Taste buds.
buds.
Well, this is leaving a good taste in my mouth, but I want to address something that's leaving a bad taste in people's mouths these days. Adobe changed their
Yeah, it's
their,
old
their
news.
agreement. This isn't that old news. This
It
is
is,
a couple of
actually.
months, and only people have been.
No, it's been like this for a little while. It's
Well,
just people are just
Varen just found out that they just resubscribed him to
Yes,
it
yes, people are-
automatically.
Yes, the automatic resubscription is something people are not happy about at all, especially because they lock you into a year contract and don't let you get out until you've paid at least half or more. So you can't even, they renew your subscription and they get people in with this like, try it for 3 months free, and then they just automatically renew people. People were saying in the chat forums how they just ended up canceling their credit cards to just get it to stop renewing.
Which is probably the best way to do it. And after you cancel your credit cards, you just pirate the crap out of it.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, the way that it works is like, and so people keep trying to defend it and be like, oh, but like Netflix is subscription based and Amazon is subscription based. You don't get to keep the movies, but like this is so different because you're creating your own content with it, right? Like I pretty much asked them, I'm like, okay, so if I build you, I was in a 3-hour fight with them. I told them, so if I build a website using Adobe Dreamweaver or Adobe Muse, and I want to be able to continue to access and update and make changes to my website, I have to continue paying you forever. I kept emphasizing I have the transcripts, like I can make them public at some point. And they kept refusing and they kept dodging. Let me see what I can do. Let's see what your type of plan you have. Oh, it says here. And they kept dodging. And I kept saying, give me a yes or no answer. If I'm like, this is not the same thing like photo. They're like, oh, like with Photoshop, you get to keep the pictures. I'm like, oh, great. Thanks. Like, thank you. That's so sweet of you to let me keep my own pictures but like, I won't be able to re-edit those pictures. I won't be, but okay, that's fine. But like when you're building like an ongoing website with their thing, I'm like, so I have to pay you forever. And I kept saying yes or no. And finally, they acknowledged that yes, it's a continued subscription-based plan. And if you want to continue to have access to your own content, you would have to pay them indefinitely. There's no option to buy out. And it's so sad. There was this one guy in the forums who's like, I've been like building stuff on this for like 3-4 years, and I was happy to pay, but life circumstances right now, I just can't afford to pay it anymore. What am I supposed to do? And he could lose like everything that he's created because he won't be able to access it.
Well, pirate it. Just cancel your credit card and pirate it. Cat, what is wrong with you? Come here. Come here.
She wants attention. I don't know. She just woke up.
Oh, right. Where the hell was she for the past couple of hours then?
She was sleeping in here.
Oh, that's what she's doing out there.
This is really sweet and something.
Sweet and something?
I don't know. It takes some getting used to. It's very, it's...
Flavorful?
Yes. Strong. And I don't mean in alcohol content.
No. This is the kind of beer I like. The very, very strong tasting kind, and it's thick as fuck.
Yeah, and anyway, the subscription isn't even cheap. It's like 20 for Canadian comes up to $30 a month, and that's just for first year if you're a student or a teacher. And like they're advertising this to students, right? So like I don't know.
It's the business plan to get students hooked on the product so they never want to get off of it. So if you go into a professional graphic design trade, for example, or website building trade, they want the students to get hooked on it earlier. Their early plans are that they didn't actually give a shit if people pirated their softwares, just so people can get used to over time. Just get used to their software, just get adequate and get good with it. But once you start running a real business out of it, you have to start paying and buying their software. So that's what they did. But after a couple, what's it been, like 10 years of people getting completely acquainted with the software and relying on it to this point, they decided, screw it. Why don't we just throw a monthly subscription fee? Microsoft did the same thing with Word now. Word is now a subscription fee service. You're not paying monthly for Word.
Yeah, but you can stop and keep your old version of Microsoft.
No, that's the whole point. That's the whole point. The new stuff isn't like that. That's
and plus, you pay once, and that's it.
No, Microsoft 360 is a paid subscription. You can still buy Word on its own, but you're just not getting certain updates.
Yeah, okay, but it still has an option for you to pay once and then keep what you paid for. Like what? I bought them, and then but I don't get any more like updates. But I paid once. I didn't buy again.
Because you didn't pay for 360. 360 is a software that lets you use it in the cloud and lets you use it all over the place and does a bunch of different stuff.
So I'm just saying, like, Adobe doesn't have the option of you to just buy like that latest version and then keep
not
it.
Anymore. They used to, but not anymore. So because they want the audience that's hooked. Like, you're not going to stop using Adobe Photoshop and move on to a different photo editing or video editing.
Why not? Why the fuck not?
Because they're what's it called? They're professional grade. Like Premiere and a bunch of their other stuff is used by the top of the line people. It's movies or something. Are movies made with with Premiere. I think Premiere and After Effects are two softwares that people use
Well,
to make professional movies.
I don't know. I think this is one of the biggest scams I've ever seen. Like they just want people to indefinitely pay them forever to just keep gaining access to material that they themselves created.
Well,
Yeah, I think that's a pretty big scam.
guess we're just gonna have to quit our subscription once it's up
Yeah,
and hack it.
yeah,
Hack it, crack it, and use it for free. Because I've already. How much money does that come out? $30 a month for 12 months. What does that come out to?
almost 300-400 bucks.
Almost $400.
Yep.
Which means that
That's
I feel like I would have been justified to just hack it at that point and just use it however the hell I want. Paying $400 for a couple of systems. Yeah, I'm just gonna keep it.
I mean, you don't think that that's like a huge ripoff? Like, I don't understand how, and people
The-
seem to be defending this and being like, well, this is just good business. Oh, go capitalism.
It's not. This is good business. Go capitalism. I don't think you're understanding the perspective there. The perspective there is that businesses have the right to do whatever the hell they want, as far as business goes. And if they fail because of it, good. If you're going to practice shitty business tactics, then you're going to lose out on business because of it. And this is going to make Adobe lose out on their business.
Not if they gain the monopoly and then everything becomes this way and you have no choice.
They can't gain the monopoly if they're losing subscriptions.
Well, what
If
are
they're
the
losing people.
alternatives?
There's a lot of alternatives. Have you looked for alternatives?
No.
Well, you haven't even looked for alternatives yet. I personally know that a lot of the video editing software, the Mac stuff, is much better. From what I heard, the stuff I'm using right now is kind of garbage. I've learned very quickly that the Adobe's version of video editing is crap. I have to switch between 3 different applications just to do what I need to do, which means I have to learn 3 different applications based on what I know how to do off of the one application that I have right now that cost me $40. Two things cost me $40. The sound stuff and the video editing stuff. There's 2 separate things, but I still don't like the ones I paid for. I'm probably going to go out and try and make some money so I can get the Apple stuff. Because apparently Apple has a voice recording software that I'm using right now. I think Sony has one too. Sony has a version of this to do podcasts and everything else.
Well, haven't they always said that like the one thing that Apple is better at is when it comes to like video and editing and stuff like that?
Macs are good for that stuff, yes.
Specifically like in the field of film and editing and
yes.
photography and
Yes.
arts.
Yes. But again, Macs, I forget what the Mac software is called. I'm gonna look into it. Look, I can hack in
iOS.
No, iOS is their operating system.
Oh.
That's why it's iOS 10. It's movie something. It's iMovie, iMagic or something. I don't remember what it is. I know a bunch of people use it. Like Chris Ray Gunn uses that stuff, and a few other people. It was between the application I got now and spending 4 times as much on Apple's version of it, which I tend not to use Apple products. But apparently, Sony's version of the audio recording software is like phenomenal. It's the easiest to use, and it's like the most versatile that you could ever have, as opposed to using the Adobe stuff or the crap I'm using right now.
Yeah.
The crap I was using, no, not right now. Right now I'm using Adobe, and Adobe seems to be working out really well for me. But yeah, maybe I'll try the Sony stuff. Maybe Sony doesn't do garbage. Maybe they do have one audio recording software that's actually supposed to be really good. I forget what it's called though. Sound booth or something? It's whatever. It's supposed to be really good. A lot of other people use other software like professional sound production software, but I don't have I don't have the patience to fucking learn an entire sound production software like Fruity Loops or whatever the hell else they have, just to be able to record vocals. Before I used to want to edit them, but now I don't even edit vocals because we just go straight through. I just edit the video and cut out video when we pop in accidentally or on purpose. By the way, sorry guys, I made some horrible fucking mistakes in number 13. I went back and I re-uploaded it, re-edited it. So if you don't have access to it, just go check the YouTube channel. That's only if you get notified.
I don't know. I just think it's a pretty big scam to expect anyone to and this is not like Spotify or Netflix. Like, I understand that if I stop paying Spotify, but even Spotify lets you keep all of those playlists that you've worked and created and followed. You still get to keep it. You just don't get a commercial free, and you don't get to download and save it on your phone. They even still give you a version of, like, if there's a time where I don't want to pay Spotify for a few months, I can still stop paying for it and still have access to all of my stuff. And and then when I do come back, if I do come back, have everything there again. Like, it's not the same thing as Netflix and Spotify. That's other people's content. Like Adobe, you are building and creating your own work.
Like I said, if you are building websites continuously, building websites, not updating them, building websites, you're probably doing it as a business. You don't just endlessly start building websites for yourself. That's pretty expensive.
But even as a startup business, the idea that you just can't buy a package program and then use that and then
you can. It's just not Adobe anymore. You
yeah,
just
I
can't do it with
know.
Adobe. You can do it with other people, with other software, with
Well,
other.
I was not I did not know that this is the way. This is what Adobe. My understanding was that Adobe's Creative Cloud would let you access it from a variety of computers, and that's what you're paying for, and it constantly gets updated. But once you stop your subscription, those apps that you bought in the first place, you keep those.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Like. It's not like that anymore. So they're changing their business model, and they might change their business model back once they realize that they're losing way too many customers because of it. Some people might just quit and say, "Fuck it, I don't want to do this anymore."
Like, it's really funny on
like you right now, and I know at least 2 other people that are saying, "Fuck it, I'm just gonna quit and hack it," and they can't do anything about you hacking it. They can literally suck a dick at that point.
Yeah.
So why not lose out to piracy once again?
Yeah, I mean, it's just funny because, like, it's not like people wanted pirate. It's when it's legitimate, you pay for it. Like, we were willing to pay for it for the year. I thought that was a good deal,
Yeah.
but not for like the rest of my life. Like, I'm not indefinitely paying them fucking $30 a month for what? Why? Like, no, nothing, and yeah, like no other subscription based program is working this way. I think this is ridiculous.
Well,
It's a huge scam.
For now, it's ridiculous. That might be the status quo in a couple of years for everyone.
I know, which is really unfortunate. And then this is why I get worried about big corporatism and stuff, because then they're going to create it as though nobody can create cheap alternatives. Like, literally, like with all of these things, people like us can't gain access to becoming content creators. Like, unless you have money or you're with a network or you're with somebody, now with YouTube and the formula that they're following from, like, they're literally preventing normal people who are everyday people from bettering themselves and bettering their lives and being creative and coming up with ideas.
It's not the corporation's job to improve people's lives. It's the corporation's job to provide a product to make you pay for it.
Right, but
if you need that corporation's product to improve your life, that is a whole different point, but nevertheless not their responsibility to provide you with it.
Yeah, but then at the same time, they're preventing an alternative. Like, if YouTube wants to go
they're
corporate,
literally they're not preventing an alternative. That's why so many alternatives sprang up to YouTube over the last 2 years. That's why so many people are literally praising themselves as the alternative to the YouTube model. Like everyone, like Gab. Okay, for Minds, for example, it now officially has a video sharing. Their points that they give you is now a cryptocurrency, so you make money off of generating points. So people can give you their goddamn points by mining them, by leaving comments, and then they can give you the points because the points are actually worth real money to everyone and anywhere. They let you upload their videos. They let you make money off of uploading blogs. They let you make money off of uploading photos. It doesn't matter. Those photos don't have to be yours. If people like the photos you're streaming, they just throw the same points. They mine off of other people, and then they give you the points, and then you keep the points, and the points are worth money.
Would have died by now.
Minds is actually growing more powerful.
Is it?
Yes,
So they're improving.
Well, improving is an interesting term because I've been able to gain no traction. I have to spend like 10,000 points to get like 4 views now because so many people are spending points on Minds to get their ship promoted. Like, I'm sure it'll get better because when you can gear promotion to a certain demographic, which is what YouTube and Facebook really do well. They let you gear the promotion that you want to do onto a specific demographic. You say people that are feminists, I want them to see this. People that are anti-feminists, I want them to see this. People that are into sports, I want them to see my commercial. People that are into blogs, I want them to see this. And you can gear it. That's why people are so afraid of the mass media, the information collecting, because a lot of what people like Facebook, Google, I'm gonna just say. Uh, YouTube separately, but it's still Alphabet. What they do is they just collect as much information about you and put you in a bubble. So next time a corporation shows up and says, "I need my content promoted to these types of people," they say, "Here's all of our bubbles. Here's all the criteria we have collected over everybody else." And who do you want? Which criteria do you like? They do those bubble graphs
But
and
like, and
just
you're
market to the intersectional people.
and you don't have like a problem with that, like the way that they're like controlling and using these forums to keep people where they want them. Like,
They're not keeping the people where they want them. They're letting the people are letting them know which category they belong in. YouTube doesn't keep me in that category. Okay, it's just look. We've gone over all. We just did the Zimbardo thing, right? We just did the Philip Zimbardo
I
thing.
guess
You
you
understand how there's psychology and then there's everything else. And if you're looking at it through a psychological perspective, you can see that there's a lot of people out there that are just what they call high in agreeability. They don't like disruption.
okay.
They don't like friction. They want to agree. Everyone wants to agree that corporatism is bad. We all do want, even I want to agree that corporatism is bad. I don't think anyone out there has ever said corporatism is good. But that's the problem. That's the narrative. That's not what Google sells. Google doesn't sell it. Google responds to people, to crybullies. Again, another term we need to put out. Google responds to crybullies. Crybullies are crying about the fact that they're being oppressed by hateful opinions. I'm not saying some opinions aren't hateful. I absolutely sat around and listened to, let's say, one of the most vocal and known voices on in the Discord YouTube community, Adverdeson, for example. He continuously goes around and yells at everyone that everyone's a bigot and they're just homophiling children, how everyone is hetero and anyone who's homosexual is lying to themselves and just homophiling children, where they have no business admitting, claiming that they're gay because there's no such thing. And he'll even cite studies at you for it. His opinions are the kind of opinions people don't want to hear. People don't want to have their opinions challenged by an old bigoted man that couldn't hold a relationship together with anyone in his life.
That's not what I'm trying to get at, though. Like, I'm talking about like the equivalent of just making it so that, so if you were a small, let's say a restaurant, and you wanted to open up and keep your business open, and then you're surrounded by these like major franchises like Jack Astor's, and then you have to compete with them. It makes it, like, I understand that that's so in the same way, what I'm trying to get at with like the way that YouTube is now running and Adobe, the way they're making it work, is if that you are a person who has ideas and are creative and want to get that out there, it's almost now impossible because you need to have money or
Wrong.
networking or
You're 100% wrong. There's at least two other applications that are 100% free. Pixlr is an online form of Photoshop. It's literally a company that builds the exact same thing that Photoshop does, except it's an online form. It's in an online form. You go to the website and it lets you do everything Photoshop lets you do, and it's free.
okay.
And the other one is shit. I forgot what it's called, but I can find the website for it. It's a downloadable application that lets you do the exact same thing Photoshop does, but for free. There's literal alternatives to everything. Audacity is a free version of most audio softwares. It's really simple and it's really short. It doesn't give you a lot of options, but if you want to record vocals as clean as you can and as simple and as streamlined as you can, you press the button, you say enter, and then it just records. Then that's it. It's free. It's open source. You can modify it, and there's hundreds of different applications you can add to it because it's open source. So people give you the experience you want. You want to do a podcast format with 3 different microphones? It doesn't originally let you do that, but you download the add-on, and the add-on gives you the 3 different microphone modifications. So you can add 3 different microphones. It's free. It's 100% free, and it's open source. You want to do movie editing? There's plenty of free software out there. It might not be good. It might be bad.
Okay, so fine. So let's say with YouTube. So you're saying Minds is now becoming an actual
Well,
alternative?
not only Minds. Minds is becoming a decent alternative if you can get a foothold. This is the problem. That YouTube, what was great about YouTube is it was the people promoting the people. And before, you could... Okay. There's so much wrong with what happened YouTube over the last 3 years that the last 10 years that they've existed is almost nullified out of it. This is again, this is in response to cry bullies. This is in response to people crying. This is in response of YouTube's own fear of their own existence. This is a reactionary measure. People are running around yelling about reactionaries and how they're ruining everything, but literally they are the reactionaries. YouTube is responding to the new climate, to the new circumstances of the situation. They have to conform. Why is it really important for us to keep track of what's happening in Europe, for example? Google, and YouTube is an international organization. And as an international organization, for every single nation that they exist in, they have to abide by the laws of that nation. Now, you've seen what happened with Count Dankula recently, where he taught his goddamn dog to do a trick by raising its paw every time he said something stupid.
Yeah.
What was it? Either Gastakikes or Hitler did nothing wrong, and the puppy put up its paw. And
Yeah.
like, oh my god, that was so offensive that he got convicted, and it's been in the news. But because that's now illegal, those are so offensive, they're illegal in Europe. Now, for Google to exist and continue operating properly within Europe, they have to abide some of those. They have to abide by some of those standards. They have to comply with some of the standards. The other problem is you have people who fund and funnel a lot of money into corporations. This is what I was talking about when I got those emails about Creators for Change. Separate corporations out there. I'm going to say corporations. I could say what are they called? Lobby groups got together and said, we will pay a lot of YouTube content creators who want to advocate for change, peace, and unity on your platform, so we don't look like we're hating people, and we will give them lots of money. I think it was 20 grand. It was anywhere from 35 grand to like 15 grand, depending on your level of acceptable advocation for change, anti-Trump change, of course. It's getting rid of Trump change, not anything else. And YouTube goes, okay, you advocate for it. We'll push forward creators that want to be very visible about their need for change and progressivism. And then the small communities, the lobby groups, the different lobby groups, not corporate lobby groups, because a lot of leftists conflate lobby groups with just regular. They conflate lobby groups with only corporate lobby groups, because there's people lobby groups. We talked about this about the NRA. The NRA is a grassroots lobby group. They're not a corporate lobby group.
Yeah.
Okay, so and there's a lot of other things, like David Rockefeller is also a lobbyist. He sits around in places and he sends people out to give money to perpetuate certain political movements that he wants in power, in place, to create the disturbances and instability in regions so he can make lots of money. This is one of these things. This is why the gun movement is under attack again. This is why all this is happening, because certain, like, there's a recent story, a recent meme, a recent fucking whatever you want to call it, going around how there's a student out there who was actually shot at in that school in the most recent shooting. He was shot at. He keeps trying to appear in the news, and the news ignores him. They don't want to give him interviews, but he's started up. He's using Twitter. He's using YouTube. He's going to see as many people as he can to talk about how he's completely anti-gun control. And he believes that was in the actions of a separate crazy person, and he doesn't think the gun should be regulated because crazy people are doing stupid things. On the other hand, the other kid who literally hid in a closet and performed what's his name, interviews with the news the entire time the shooting was going on, hiding, is the one who's going around telling everyone to ban guns everywhere because he was afraid. Like, this is it. The squeaky wheel gets the grease, right? It's a person who's squeaking and being like, I'm being oppressed. I was shot at. I'm hurt. I'm offended. They're the people that are going to get all the attraction. They're the news. Guys, for fuck's sake. So we've gone over this. Just watch Left of Left. I've gone over a lot of this. It's a lot of outrage culture. And with the outrage culture, that's all we have. It's just people that are constantly outraged about the same situations over and over again. It's the kid who literally nothing happened to, who hid in a closet, who's crying to get rid of guns. But the kid who was actually shot at went, I don't think we should get rid of guns.
There was a kid who wasn't actually shot at, but was at the school and was anti-gun control, and he was on Crowder. So I wonder why that kid you're specifically talking about wouldn't have been on Crowder.
Maybe that was the same kid, and he was shot at.
No, then he wasn't shot at. I listened to the whole thing.
Then the other one was shot at. I don't know.
He was in a separate building, but he was there.
Okay, but then what I read was there was a kid who was actually shot at, and he's also trying to get some news attention and be like, God, we shouldn't ban guns. But why? Like, It's why I'm referring. It's not why I'm no longer referring to social media as social media, but referring to social media as socialist media, because they're literally just left the shells at this point. They're not even advocating for an equality of opinion or a balanced reporting thing.
Yeah.
But it goes way beyond that. It goes to the fact that not, but they're still pretending like they give a shit about what's happening in the world, or that they're trying to be just or fair about anything. The entire thing is slanted in one way, and it's only one way, and that's the only thing that's
Well,
being expressed.
and that's what I was trying to point out. Like YouTube, for example, is pretending to be for change and equality and social justice and promoting that material, but then at the same time, their new platform and the changes that have actively made it more difficult for people who might not have connections and might not have resources but have ideas and want to get themselves out there. They prevented that from happening. So that's
They did not prevent that from happening.
not, they changed their platform to make it more difficult.
Yes, they did. They took away your monetization. But
Yes.
but again,
And they're within
still,
the right to,
there's
but then they're
still a
hypocritically claiming that they're
still
about.
a corporation that's fundamentally meant to make money. The
I
problem
understand
was
that.
the biggest threat that they faced in 2017 and 2018, 2016 and 2017 is that they lost a lot of their support, financial support, and YouTube doesn't make a lot of money. This is why I was advocating for people to start funneling the money they are making on YouTube back into YouTube to promote them. This is why I'm still advocating for people to give me money so I can promote myself if you really give a fuck about the channel. I still want to promote myself on YouTube by giving YouTube money. Like the problem here is that they're only given one solution to the ad revenue problem. They find the most acceptable opinions, creating an echo chamber all around, and never giving anyone else, so people can advertise on them. They're still a corporation at heart. YouTube was never meant to be a launching platform for.
There's no valid reason for them to promote the Young Turks, but not if they're about
Money.
just money.
Money.
Then what?
The
But
Young Turks-
over Joe
The
Rogan
Young Turks
or
are
can I finish?
no.
this?
The Young Turks are literally funded by who? Who are they funded by? Who are they
I
owned
don't
by?
know.
Al Jazeera. You think Al Jazeera advertises on YouTube endlessly?
Okay, Joe Rogan makes a fuck ton of money. Louder with Crowder also
But
brings in
Joe
a source of
But
money.
Joe Rogan is not funded by a major news organization. That is literally this. What is Al Jazeera? Joe
don't
Rogan
know.
isn't Al Jazeera. Al Jazeera is a giant network of literal news networks in the Middle East. They're a huge conglomerate. Joe Rogan is just a guy with a microphone who just so happens to have
He's
the
huge.
who just so happens to have the ears of at least 6 million listeners. What do they say? 6 million listeners a week? He just so happens to have the movement. YouTube isn't going to get rid of him, but what does he do in the meantime? He blocks his chat room so people can't leave hateful messages. He doesn't allow comments on a lot of his videos.
Yeah, he does.
On a lot of his videos. I didn't say all of his videos. A lot of his videos. I've tried to go see certain videos, and comments are blocked on some of them.
Most of the long podcasts.
As long as you're saying most. As long as you're saying most.
Okay, there's very few that I've ever come across that have comments have been disabled.
But Joe Rogan isn't owned by a transnational corporation that spans across several nations, literally controlling the ideological leaning of an entire group of people that Young Turks do. That's who they're owned by. They're literally owned by the Muslim media, by the Muslim news media, that literally don't allow women onto their network without wearing a hijab. And they're sitting around and propagating that Islam is peaceful and that feminism should absolutely embrace it. Thanks to what's it called? What's that bullshit that they're going on about? Fuck, I forgot what it's called. The intersectionality. Thanks to intersectionality, feminism should absolutely embrace Islam because Islam is the religion of peace. Like, that's literally part of their ideological indoctrination to allow Islam to be more acceptable in the West and therefore help them. It's part of the network. You're wondering why CNN is going, Trump is evil, Trump is evil, Trump is bigger than homophobic. But they're also doing it for the same reason.
It sells?
Because it sells. Because a lot of...
Except that there's a huge party of people who are on the other side who also buy.
It's not a huge party. That's the problem. It's not a huge party. Right now, outrage is the thing that controls the media. Outrage is the thing that controls society. You get outraged, you go hashtag me too, and then fucking people go down. Politicians are getting taken down, everyone's getting taken down. Some conservative voices actually try to stand up and speak out against it and try to point out that there's no due process. And the fundamental fabric of society is being torn apart because people are fucking randomly yelling shit in the streets while other people are so offended of what they're yelling about. Not at the people yelling it, but what they're yelling about, that they're literally allowing the society around them to crumble. You don't get rid of guns because someone fucking shot up a school. You try and figure out what led to that whole situation.
There's valid reasons for. I mean, you can't just dismiss a whole. The other countries do it. There's valid reasons for gun control. Like,
yes, there's always valid reasons for gun control. It's control of the population. Same reason that religions do it. Same reason that like, look. The only thing I've learned from learning history, is that one thing happens before a totalitarian regime takes over, and that's they take away the guns. The moment they take away the guns, the next thing they do is take away free speech, and then no one's out there, no one's able to speak out, or no one's able to fight back. That's just what happens. Right now, literally, the place where they took away all the guns, and now they're taking away the freedom of speech. Now you can't even make jokes about a fucking pug who raises its paw when you tell it something. The dog doesn't understand, and its actions are literally not its own. Yet its owner, who literally taught it a stupid trick, is in jail.
he's not in jail.
He's not in jail yet. The point is, it is illegal to teach a dog tricks. This is the point. This is it. This is it. This is what we're watching. We're watching the obliteration of all forms of freedom of speech. It's not a freedom of expression. That's not an expression. That's no expression. He's not a Nazi. He's not a hardcore alt-rightist. He made a joke. It's known that it was a joke. Everyone knows it's a joke. It says in the court documents, an offensive joke. It's a joke that's sending a person to jail. That is how far everything is gone. That is how far the left has pushed Europe in European culture.
So what
that
do you
someone
think's
is
gonna
going to
happen
jail
next?
over a joke, a joke. Personally, I think he's just going to get off free, and they're going to say it's time served for spending time in jail for having to go through the process. They're saying guilty, time served, and use him as a not as a guinea pig, as the president for what's going to happen with comedians from that point on. The people who joke about it. Now you can't take them to court. Now you can't drag him through the process, the horrendous process of needing to go to court and fight for your life and fight for your freedom every step of the way because you made a fucking joke. It's a joke. It says in the court documents it's a joke. Joking is now illegal in certain parts of the European Union. This is what happens when they take away your guns. And then they take away your freedom. And all you have is outrage culture? One motherfucker got outraged by a pug raising its goddamn paw. And someone has to fight, what? What's it been? 8 months? 10 months of court battles? How many fundraisers did he have to go through to fight for his freedom? Because he taught a fucking dog to raise its paw. This is a totalitarian regime. This is it. It is literally illegal for most parts of Germany to even acknowledge that Hitler existed. They're rewriting history as they go. They're hiding it. These same people that are hiding what Hitler did and aren't letting people learn about what Hitler did are the same people that are doing the same thing. It's literally the Angela Merkel people that took away all the German people's guns just like Hitler did, and then took away the freedom of speech just like Hitler did, and then took away their ability to fight back just like Hitler did. Now they're going to be sending them to jail, just like Hitler did. Except Hitler, he had control of the population. He was really, really...
So what, you think genocide is next?
Genocide might be next. Or we create a really complacent society where we have Brave New World. You've read Brave New World. You had the book club about it. This is literally where we're going. They're pushing... Why was I talking about being kind of disgusted with... what the fuck is it called? Season 2 of Stranger Things. Because they start sexualizing, like, really young teens. Like, really young. Like, why are they making out? Like, why are they kissing? Why is there a love?
Oh
No. I don't care about the fact. Fine. You guys are like, oh, who cares? It's two 12 or 13-year-olds that kissed at the end of a show. But the fact that they're literally propping up that 13-year-old girl as a sex symbol in the media.
We had crushes when we were 13.
We had crushes when we were 13.
That's all
Our
that
parents weren't crushing on 13-year-olds. The media wasn't pushing 13. Like, I get Britney
they
Spears.
were.
I get Britney Spears. Who? Tell me who at the age of 13 was pushed forward as a sex object?
No one was. I'm just saying they showed.
I am saying that. You're saying no, they're not. I am saying it.
They showed like the crushes in amongst 13, 12-year-olds in TV shows all the time.
Why is she being rated as one of the hottest girls, hottest women on TV?
Within the show?
No, outside of the show. The magazines are putting her into revealing clothing, making her do all kinds of weird sex poses.
I haven't seen that.
I have. I've literally posted the photos, the articles, the news, the front pages, that literally showed that like what do they call it? Is Mila, whatever the hell her name is, the sexiest woman on TV right now? I'm like, what am I reading? She's 13. She hasn't developed tits yet. Why is she modeling in a high school jacket, fucking bottomless?
I didn't see those.
Well, then I will repost those things. I mean, maybe I'll go through the effort of editing it into this video so I can show the audience what I'm talking about. And maybe I've gone too conservative. Maybe who cares if 13-year-olds are being sexualized or 12-year-olds are being sexualized?
At the ages of 13, you had crushes, you had first kisses, you played spin the bottle. There was that dynamic, and the show, within the context of the show, it was fully normal and appropriate. And
I stated like 4 times, not in the context of the show, in the context of after the show, in the context of her being pushed forward to the public, to the masses, as a sex symbol. No, we didn't have sex symbols. Britney Spears was like 18 before she became a 17.
15.
She was not 15. Was she? She didn't look like she was 15
She
when
was 15, 16.
Hit Me One More Time or whatever the hell song it wasn't. Please look it up. I want to know how old she was in that thing because to me she doesn't look like she's 16 in that goddamn music video. She looks like she's 20.
She was okay. I'll look it up. Hold on. Both her and Christina Aguilera were from the Mickey Mouse.
The Mickey Mouse Club, yeah.
Yeah.
The place they pamper or not pamper. Shit, what's the term?
So Baby One.
Hit Me One More Time or something.
Baby One More Time came out in 1999.
Okay.
And Britney Spears herself was born in 1981. So what's 1999 minus 1981? I can't do math in my head. 1999 minus 1981 means she was 18 when that song came out.
Exactly. She was 18 when that song came out.
Someone else was younger, though.
Sure.
There was younger.
Sure.
There was JoJo. She was like 14.
Later on, they started pushing the boundaries. But the whole point is, Britney Spears, my age's little sex symbol pop star, push forward, was absolutely. She wasn't even pushed as a sex symbol until that song. There was a few other things that came out beforehand. She had a much more wholesome appearance to her.
No, Baby One More Time was her first hit song.
But nevertheless, she had a whole more wholesome appearance in other songs.
In some, yeah.
And Christina Aguilera was also relatively wholesome up until a certain point, and then she went full raunchy, where she was grinding up against greasy lesbians in a boxing ring or something, shaking her ass.
That's an awesome song.
My point was that they didn't sexualize 13-year-olds, they sexualized 18-year-olds because that's what was appropriate.
What was Boy Meets World? They were 12, 13. They were Topanga was.
They were
13.
not 12 and 13.
Yeah, they were. They were like in the first years of high school, grade 9. You're 13. You're 14.
And they didn't start to fully actualize their sexual relationship until the last couple, maybe last year of high school. And then in college, once the college year stepped up for Boy Meets World, then they started to have a sexual relationship.
Okay, well then I'd like to see these pictures because I haven't seen this 13-year-old
think back,
sexualized.
even Saved by the Bell. There was a lot of build up towards kissing. There was no sex in that show.
Yeah, and neither are the shows on the Disney Channel right now. Fucking Ariana Grande was on these shows. She was from Nickelodeon, and she was wholesome and good.
So was Miley Cyrus, and so was what's her name?
They all got sexualized after the age of like 17, 18.
No, I'm pretty sure that the Disney's princesses, what the fuck is that shit called? The Mickey Mouse Club is like their way in to being sex slaves. No, not the sex slaves. What was it called? The mind control sex slaves.
You mean the traumatic brain?
No. They're clearly no. They already clearly all come from a
trauma-based mind control.
That's it. From trauma-based relationships with their parents. That's already a thing. Like whenever you hear interviews, like every single one of these people's parents pushed them to be a star way too goddamn young.
Yeah.
And that's what people are talking about. Like if you look at Miley Cyrus's photos with her dad, Billy Ray Cyrus, from when they were young, there's way too much sexual chemistry between them. then that's really unnecessary.
I'm just saying Miley Cyrus was all wholesome and shit, party in the USA until like she also got to her 20s.
It's right, 20s. In the 20s, it's perfectly acceptable for you to start expressing your sexuality, isn't it?
I'm just saying every celebrity
But
you're
not
talking
at 13.
I know, but none of them are doing it at 13.
Literally, I just gave you an example
Okay,
of,
but this
somebody.
is just one example,
This
and
is
I
this
haven't
is
seen
this
any
is
others.
literally this year's example. This is how the progressives do it. Did you learn nothing from Yuri Bezmenov?
You're just pointing to one example of a picture that I haven't even seen yet.
It's not a picture. It's a video. It's an entire. Oh my god. Okay, you know what? You know what, guys? I'm gonna go through the goddamn extra effort to make sure I shove as much of that shit into this episode as I can.
Okay.
And I'm just gonna. And what do I call this one? What do I call this one? Sexualizing children? Why do my goddamn live streams not live streams?
If you don't want to, if you
My
want to get
podcast.
shut down fast, then that's what's
But I
gonna
thought the left
happen.
was all for sexualizing children, making sex work legal, and allowing women to express their sexuality in any way that they wanted. Except in any way that men would want it. That's clearly not
I
appropriate.
mean, like, even in, like, if you want to really talk about history in the context of things, like, my grandmother was fucking 13 when she got married,
No,
so...
no, stop. I agree. I agree with you 100% about
The concept of the
50,
teenager
70,
was not
100,
even built...
100 years ago, 200 years ago, people got married too young. People had sex at a relatively young age. It was all inappropriate. The whole point of my outrage right now is that the progressives are no longer progressives. They're now regressives. They're trying to go back to the way it was, as opposed to actually moving forward. What has changed since 200 years ago? We developed psychology. We understand the development of the human brain. We keep pushing it to stop traumatizing young children. We know that children that have been sexualized at a young age are broken. They don't know how to have real relationships. And they don't function properly within society. You know about histrionic relationships. Histrionic personality types. You know about all these different things, and yet here we are. We're literally the leftists are moving backwards. They think they're moving forwards. The conservatives have been like, no. We were fine. We're fine. We're not sexualizing children anymore. We're trying to give people the ability to express their sexuality. We even gave you goddamn abortions that they gave them.
Well, they're saying that if you see that child as sexual, then the problem is you, not the way the child is being depicted.
When the news media puts out literally front page covers depicting a 13-year-old as the newest sex symbol, it is not me. I did not make that cover. I'm not the photographer that is telling her to get fucking half naked and bend into porn star positions. That is not me. I saw the video and I'm unhappy about it. This is, by the way, outrage culture. This is it. I'm outraged. And this is why the leftists would call me a reactionary, because I'm reacting to what they're doing, and I'm just being reactionary. But the whole point is that it's wrong. We know, but according to psychology, we know it's wrong. This is all we know. The leftists are moving backwards.
But like, so for example, if you see a 13-year-old in a crop top versus an 18-year-old in a crop top, right? The 13-year-old, the crop top would not look as sexualized as it would in the 18-year-old. So if you see that girl in the 13-year-old as as attractive in the crop top, then that's your messed upness.
No.
Not the fact. So like, do you see, like, right? Like,
Okay. Stop.
Like, you're even
I will present the example I've been presenting for the past couple of months. That, I forget her name, but that Danny girl, the girl who's 13 but has a really goddamn nice ass and a huge rack. And she's been literally shaking her ass and tits in front of a camera on Instagram for the better part of the last 6 months. She's blown up. She's known worldwide. She's like 13. She just turned 14. And she's a giant sensation everywhere. Because people just like to tune in and watch her shake her fucking ass.
Okay, so she's an overdeveloped. That's always also been a case of girls who get puberty at a younger age. They usually get sexualizing
my
at
point
attention.
is that here's her sexualizing herself in front of the camera for the world. But she's got the features of an 18-year-old.
Yeah.
There's some part of me that was willing to accept the fact that she's got giant tits and a really firm ass, like big firm ass, and she's willing to shake both of those things in front of the camera for everybody. I'm not going out of my way to take somebody who's underdeveloped, like that girl from the fucking show, put her on the fucking front cover of a international magazine, and call her a sex symbol. Danny is an Instagram model who shakes her ass for fun for her classmates because she's literally low-level trash. She comes from a British family that's British? I'm not sure if she's British, actually. I always assumed she was British. Comes from a low-income family, bullshit family that literally has nothing to offer her, and this Instagram fame is probably the best thing she'll ever do in her entire life. That's what she's doing. This is an actress, a young teenage actress that's being put out there for the entire world to see
That most people
by
like.
the
Yeah.
media, and then
Are
sexualizing
you sure
her.
it's real? Are you sure that's not like just some sort of made up?
Look it up. Just look it up.
Because like I'm starting to think, for
Give me your
example,
phone. Give me your
Antifa. Okay, whatever. I'll give it to you that there's real. Whatever. Because I'm like just starting to think like, so Antifa showed up at my school
Of course.
and started shutting down, and they actually, Janice Fiamego, who's a prof at my school, was gonna speak. She ended up canceling it. They say she just said that like she had other things to do, and it's not an Antifa win, but Antifa sees it as a win because she ended up canceling it and didn't doing it. And so some guy got arrested. There was 20 to 30 people, and I'm thinking like freaking Ottawa, where we've been in this town for a year. It's the most tame, like nothingness town ever. I don't think Antifa are real. I think Antifa are made up by the right, are people who are like avid anti-SJW people, and they are pretending to be fighting free speech so that the other side has, like, you know how you said that the cultural appropriation thing was a fake?
You do realize that what you're suggesting right now is actually the complete opposite of everything we've discovered about Antifa since we started YouTube. In fact, we had a whole live stream where we discovered that it's actually Antifa members that are putting together fake alt-right opposition groups. Antifa are the people that are being funded by people like George Soros.
I just think they're being made to look like there's people who are after free speech, but they're like because it's a joke. Like they can't be real. Like this is ridiculous.
But you say the same thing about serial killers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you refuse to believe it, and you've blocked yourself off from even accepting.
I just finished watching the whole season. I'm not convinced.
You're not convinced?
I'm not convinced.
I'm telling you, go look at Wikipedia. You're not convinced that one guy killed and raped and strangled a bunch of people? Or like that there's a whole series of these people running around in the world at any given time?
If they exist, they are few and far between, and getting away with it, well, although in these cases seems to be really easy, but that's only if you're very poor, and your victims are also very poor people. So if they are real, I'm never going to be a victim of it, so it doesn't worry me.
Okay. Sure. Like, you see that most of these people have contact and access to the victims beforehand?
No, not necessarily.
No?
Actually, you're more likely to get away with it if you don't know the victim.
Well, but that's not what serial killers fixate on.
No. They find random victims. They stalk them for a while, according to this
Yeah,
thing.
that's right.
But they usually go for like, addicted on the street poor people who are the people who I'm trying to save and help anyway. So I'm already yeah, or like, yeah, their victims usually are very, very vulnerable young women who are on the streets and or runaways yeah.
So serial killers just are basically killing the people in society people don't want anyway. Because no one will miss them. There's no Dexter running around killing high-profile people.
Yeah.
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 Too bad. Too bad. I would love to channel a serial killer's rage.
Well, I
It'd
mean,
be really nice. Guys, if you're a serial killer and you need to channel your rage towards something and you're willing to let me do it, please let me do
maybe
it.
I wasn't very.
I will absolutely point to the people I want removed from this planet. On that note, or not that note, hint. David Rockefeller has had what is it? 9 heart transplants? 9 heart transplants in his life. So that was a problem. Also, we've recently found out that injecting yourself with infant blood makes you age slower and recovers a lot of your stuff. So if you wonder why there's infants going missing, but certain celebrities or politicians don't seem to age, we now know why that's happening as well. But it's okay. It's okay because as long as Planned Parenthood exists, they will be able to make baby or at least dead baby smoothies for all the rich people to drink to stay immortal.
Yeah.
And you guys will get to watch Keanu Reeves if he doesn't kill himself for as long as you can remember. I don't know. Do we have anything else? We have like 2 minutes left. Baby.
Now I'm trying to remember
smoothies.
what else about the serial killer stuff. Maybe that can be our next topic.
Serial killers?
I don't
Do,
know.
do we want to go through the whole thing of researching all the most horrible serial killers? Well, what was it you said
No,
today? You said you were surprised that these people raped then strangled their victims, not strangled them then raped them.
I just watched a few episodes in a row, and apparently that was like a pattern of the rape then strangle in that order.
Do you think that the strangling is just a point of control?
I don't know. The show makes it like so much more dramatic. Apparently there seems to be lots of torture involved as well, but they never actually delve into what the torture is. They're usually really, really young, too.
The victims?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. When you're literally the type of person who needs to dominate somebody else by raping and strangling them, you're bound to choose weak, fragile people, like either the elderly or the really young. And anyone in between might put up too much of a fight. And you heard what happens, right? They say that if you put too much of a fight and you're too strong-willed, they can't maintain an erection because they feel dominated by their victims.
Except that I think sometimes there are cases where they do, which is why the strangling comes after, not before, because they do want to fight. So I guess it depends on the perpetrator. But the other theme that I was seeing, like I wasn't actually paying attention. This was just background thing. But the other theme that I was seeing was that in real life, they either were obviously sociopathic and everyone just kind of ignored it, or very like opposite, like nobody had a clue. They seemed normal, had a family, totally like normal people.
See, it always makes
like,
me worry that like those people that seemed too normal and had a normal family and had everything normal about them are actually not really they're not really the killer. It's just like
somebody
they got
setting them up.
Yeah, it's just somebody setting them up all the way.
Well, the second last episode, apparently this no, but then they always confess. That's the other thing. So they actually show videos later of them like psychopathically laughing about how they've manipulated everybody and then nobody. So the one guy that I was watching, apparently he went into the army, won awards. People like thought he was this huge hero. All this time he had, and then here's the one thing that I'm seeing is that they have a lot, like their number of victims is pretty high as well.
Fat cat.
So like especially the sexual perpetrators, like they go up into like, you know, the double digits, sometimes even triple digits.
The highest, I think the guy actually got to like 700. 700 victims.
Yeah. Yeah. But I don't know. I just think if these are like these cases, it's like an 8-episode series of 8 people that spans over what, like 70 years. This is not like a common issue.
There's over 200 serial killers currently on the loose, and the FBI doesn't know where they are in North America.
200 is nothing. Come out of like what? What is the population? If you combine North America, like almost 400 million population.
I said active serial killers,
So
not random
200
gangbangers.
200 out of, again, 400 million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
200 people. Oh, look. This is my question. How many mass murderers is what? Not enough.
Is
It's too many.
I mean, if you want to
How
keep
many?
life interesting, what are we gonna make movies about if all of the
Well,
bad stuff
sure,
goes
sure,
away?
sure. But you know the majority of serial killers are actually not in North America. Do you know where they are?
Where?
Asia and Middle East. Any Asians actually mostly in Asia. The majority of them reside in Pakistan and China. Actually,
Well,
Pakistan, India, and China has them. No, it makes sense. Those are the world's biggest populations, so therefore they would have the world's largest amount of
yeah.
serial killers.
And I do think, like, in North America, again, it's not. Although apparently police are shit in North America too, so I don't know. Because one of the other themes of this 8 episode series that I barely paid attention to was that these people kept ending up in the system somehow for other shit that they were doing, but the police just ignored them or did not pay attention
Yeah.
or didn't believe the victims when they came forward.
That's what we're getting, right?
So,
The police are just generally garbage.
yeah.
Well, look at the police. They just stood outside that school and just let the
Well,
shooters stop.
apparently there was actually other people with guns who were also around that school and did not run in either.
So?
So the whole good guy with a gun theory.
It's the police. Okay. First of all, if I am a guy with a gun and there's currently a school shooting going on, and the school is surrounded by the police, I'm not running in there with a goddamn gun. Do you know what's going to happen? I'm going to get shot by the police on my way in. Let's not confuse the whole thing of a good guy with a gun versus like literally a school shooting going on. The police are standing outside and people with guns didn't fucking run in, guns blazing. You're either gonna get shot by the police or you're literally going to be convicted as a secondary shooter or an associated shooter.
Okay.
So let's not delve 12.
Also, I would ask the listeners of the podcast to please in the comments below comment just generally as you're listening to the podcast, what proportion of the time do I talk and what proportion of the time does Loki talk and who really interrupts who more?
This podcast in particularly, I dominated. I know I dominated because I kept track of it and I interrupted at least a total of 4 times where it was relatively pinnacle. I actually
Okay,
I'm just saying. You want to know? I know.
Okay.
This podcast, I know. Last podcast? No, I still dominated that one. And the one before that, I absolutely dominated. Actually, no. This isn't part of the one you dominated.
I tried because it
tried?
was something I was actually trying to study and
You
learn about.
read out of a goddamn notebook. Well, I was just trying to fucking add something to it.
Okay, well, I'm just putting that out there for our listeners, just to kind of get an opinion.
Siggy's thinking of starting her own YouTube channel.
No, I'm not. I'm thinking of doing exactly the opposite of that. So,
Well, yeah. What's the opposite of that?
discontinuing.
Discontinuing. All right, guys. Expect us to take a short and or long break from doing podcasts.
No, not the podcast.
Well, we're talking about the podcast.
No, the podcast is here. I'm just curious as to. I just wanted to put that out there. That's all.
All right. Well, thanks for listening. I'd like to thank all of our Patreons that helped make this happen, and Kat, Ezekiel, Russell, Caustic Dreamer, Bearded. No, Bearded hasn't been doing anything on the podcast in a while.
Well, tell them
Mr.
I miss
Mr.
them,
Schnitzel has been
and I
throwing
say
us
hi.
$1. Who?
Tell them I miss them and I say hi.
Siggy misses you, and she's saying hi. She'll be back to doing book club and hanging out in our Discord servers sometime within the next 2 weeks.
Not until the situation's resolved.
The situation's resolved. I resolved it today. I said I'm sorry. And then I don't care anymore. Situation has been resolved.
Okay.
Varen for doing all of my art and all my other fun stuff. The rest of you have been supporting my Twitch channel, my other channel that revolves around video gaming. Yeah, now I just want you guys to give me more money so I can promote this channel. Force YouTube to promote these opinions and views.
Also, fuck Adobe.
Okay, yeah, fuck Adobe, because that's a lot of money that we spent for no reason. And yeah, if you guys could find it in the kindness of your heart to help me tell YouTube to shove it. Make them promote my ass, even though I literally say all the things that they don't want me to say. Because hashtag creators for truth, guys. Okay, they want creators for change. I want creators for truth. Fuck it. Fuck you all. Have a good night. Thanks for watching. Stay to whatever. Click one of the fucking things that I put up on screen. If anyone actually made it this far, it tells you the previous podcast, the next podcast. Occasionally use the recommended, whatever YouTube thinks you should see, and just the playlist. I don't know if anyone cares about the playlist. Sorry, I'm just filling time because this is exactly where I put all the crap, and I have to make like 20 seconds at least of bullshit.
Okay, I have to pee. See ya.
All right, guys, have a good night. Thanks.